Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay, my number 2 is a game called Capsized.
Oh yeah, I talked about this the other week, didn't I?
Did you?
Yeah, on the PC. Oh, I talked about it with Sam.
Oh, right. Oh, I listened to that podcast. I don't remember. Okay, well, what did you think of it?
I only played like the first level. I thought it was okay.
Okay, was it in a Steam sale or something?
Yeah, it was part of the Humble Indie Bundle, so it was one of the games I didn't care about, but it was part of it. So I just played the first couple of levels.
Oh, of course. I actually, as soon as I got asked to review it, I was like, that rings a bell. That's where it's from then. That's where I'd heard it. Yeah, it came out in 2011 on PC, and it really, really highly regarded from what I can tell. The version I played is the Xbox Live Arcade version. And basically, to say I couldn't stand it is a bit much, but I thought it was. I think it's a bad port first and foremost.
Right.
But I have a hard time believing that the game, even on other formats, would be that great. I think it's on iOS now as well. I like the music, the brooding, menacing, chill-out music, which was really incongruous and weird. The animation, the comic book panels are really kind of unusual and quite evocative. I just thought it was a strangely mediocre and lifeless game. But I mean, as you probably explained, it's a side-on 2D platformer, and you're a little guy who's been marooned on an alien planet, and you're using your jetpack to fly around and find pieces of your ship, find your crew members, and then find a way home. One of the main problems with it, or the Xbox anyway, is that the controls are really stiff and rigid to the extent where they basically don't work unless you're flying around on a jetpack. And it's one of those games that sort of limits the amount of ammo you have for your weapons, which is annoying on a whole other level, but it limits the amount of fuel you have for your jetpack. So you have to find these really long-winded ways to get around. It seems to be, if you can do it without wasting enough fuel, you can play through the whole game with a jetpack, but you just need to know where you're going, and the whole point is about exploration, so it's confused messages sending out constantly. But on the Xbox version, they're really sticky controls, and it basically doesn't work very well when you're walking on the ground. When you're jetpacking around, it's fine. But I've seen that people have praised the world. I didn't really think it was that interesting at all. It was just kind of drab, and I don't know. It didn't appeal to me. The combat was flat because all of the enemies just rush you. Either they rush you and hammer the shit out of you, or they stand at they hit you with projectiles from far away and they're ridiculously accurate with it. So it's just irritating more than anything else, combat. And the other tool you've got in addition to the jetpack is this gravity gun, which you can use like a hook shot to sort of fling you around, and also use to sort of pick up projectiles and pick up rubble and turn them into weapons, basically. That works okay, but most of the puzzles, I mean, I played it for several hours, and the puzzles involve moving a log or a stone and then walking around and finding another way in that it was blocking previously. It's all very boring, sort of old hat stuff.
Yeah.
It was very hard for me to understand why it had got this great reputation on the PC. Can it really have been that much better?
No. I mean, I didn't have any control issues when I played it, so I played it with the pad as well. It seemed okay.
Yeah.
But it did absolutely nothing for me in the time that I played it. I don't want to be hard. I thought it was fine. It was well made, and some of the ideas in it have been done elsewhere since. But I didn't think anything in it was particularly original. But it just can't. That kind of strikes me as that time where anything kind of 2D and quirky in the indie space was just getting praised a bit more than it perhaps should have been, and that those kind of days have gone a little bit. I think.
Yeah. No, I mean, when it started, and I was like, "This is going to be awesome." There's, I mean, it's the worlds are quite big. There's a lot of exploration involved, and if that's your thing, this might float your boat. But I just the lack of invention in the puzzles, especially, it was all just there's a log blocking this way, move it with your gravity gun, and then fly around, and then I was just like, is this it? And it just kept going on and on like that. And the combat is a real problem. You'll happen upon about 10 enemies, and they'll just fly onto you and basically kill you in no time. And because they limit the amount of ammo you have, you just got this little pea shooter to shoot with. Basically, it was an indie game on PC, obviously, and it felt like an indie game on Xbox. I mean, an XBLA game, a high-end XBLA game. If it was an XBLA game and it was sort of priced alongside Bleed, it's not fit to kiss Bleed's toes. But if it was in that space for that price, you'd be like, okay, I'll accept that. But they've put it in the Xbox Live Arcade area, and the price is 800 Microsoft points, which is not massively unreasonable, but still I think it's a bit too much for what this is. The problem is that all of the benefits for putting it as making it an arcade game aren't there. It still feels like an indie game. So there's multiplayer, but you can only play against bots. There's no leaderboards at all, and there's time attack modes and stuff, but there's no leaderboards. And it's like, arcade games can have that, XSplit games can't. It seems like they've put it on Xbox Live Arcade just so they can charge 800 Microsoft points for it. They've put none of the work in to make it appealing as an arcade game. It's just an indie game in the arcade game. Yeah, it left me just ice cold. The PC version may well have been immeasurably better, but the Xbox port was not great at all.